should do well to your body, actually. So when you put that food in your mouth, it has to be digested, it has to be absorbed, and it has to be useful to the body for growth and development.
Very, very interesting. Now, you mentioned one term that I would like further emphasizing on, and that actually is the balanced diet. Because you see on the internet, there are all different kinds of information as to what a balanced diet is, the foods that go in there, what one should eat. So, what if someone says a vegetarian? What does a balanced diet mean for them? And any other restriction that they may impose on themselves. So, can you please clarify what that is for us?
Basically, a balanced diet is a diet that contains the nutrients that the body requires
Mm-hmm.
in the right proportion.
Okay.
So, for example, in our context, we have what we call the Caribbean six food groups.
Mm-hmm.
And these are six food groups that we actually use to plan our meals. We may not be aware of it, but actually, this is what we're doing when we eat. We have breakfast, lunch, supper, snacks in between. We
Mm-hmm.
are actually eating basically from the six food groups. And if I am to mention the groups, they are carbohydrates. And these are foods that contain what we call, well, excuse me, these are staples which contain carbohydrates. And for example, you have your ground provisions, like your yams, potatoes, plantains. These are one group.
Mm-hmm.
We also have what we call legumes. That includes peas, beans, and nuts. We also have our fruit group and vegetables. And food from animals, this is another group. So your fish, your meat, your chicken, eggs, milk, all these would fall into the food from animals group.
Yes.
And you also have another group, which of course we should have a smaller portion from, that is fats and oils. So both good and bad fats are contained in our fats grouping. So
Mm-hmm.
here you have your six food groups that you need to choose from to follow a balanced diet, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And listeners, again, you've heard it. But the important thing here is that your diet consists of foods from most, if not all, of the food groups, and you try to incorporate that in whatever meal that you plan, whatever meal that you're actually having. And before we move on, I also would like to ask about the good fat and the bad fat. A lot of people always have the misconception that um, certain foods are good, or certain fats, sorry, are good, and certain fats are not, and they are not really certain as to which is which. So again, clarify the difference and what makes it so.
Yes, like I mentioned earlier, we have good fats and we have bad fats.
Mm-hmm.
I will first explain what the bad fats are. Let's start with the bad ones. Bad fats are fats basically we call saturated fats, and these fats come from animal products.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if you have your chicken, it does have skin. So,
Mm.
the oil or the fat from the chicken skin is considered a saturated fat. The fat from the pork, the fat from the butter
Mm.
and cheese and milk, these, because these foods they come from the animal products, basically they are made from animal products, so they would be considered as saturated fat or bad fats. We also have what we call trans fats, and trans fats basically um, is a fat that is like a foreigner to the body. Actually, when one consumes trans fats,
Mm-hmm.
it's as if the body doesn't even know. The body cannot even utilize it, basically. And trans fats, if you were to look on your ingredient label with
Mm-hmm.
respect to maybe biscuits, margarine, butter, you will see the name partially hydrogenated fat or
Yeah,
oil
seen that one before.
or fully hydrogenation. This basically is trans fat. It's as if what the manufacturers, for example, in the case of butter, it's
Uh-huh.
as if taking a liquid fat and trying
Mm-hmm.
to solidify it. And in the process of doing that, chemically speaking, some bonds have been disrupted,
Mm-hmm.
so it makes the fat a bad fat. So this basically is trans fat. We have on the other side what we call the good fats, and good fats are from plant products. So there you have what we call avocado or zaboka, as we all know.
Yep.
It contains the unsaturated fat. So this is a good fat. You have the oil or the fat from nuts
Mm-hmm.
and the products. So peanuts, cashew nuts, these would contain the good fats.
So all, well, or most of the kinds of oil, for example, vegetable, olive, are these good fats?
Well, I'd say to a certain extent. So
Okay.
for example, if you're speaking about
Mm-hmm.
the oils must be in the virgin virgin how would
Form.
I say virgin form
Oh, okay.
in order for it to be a good fat.
Interesting you say so because there is extra virgin olive oil.
Right. So
Yeah.
for example, you'll see on a bottle of olive
Yeah.
oil extra virgin, or in that this oil has not gone through any heat process in order to contaminate it or to cause it to be bad.
Interesting.
Or compressed, you would see pressed virgin olive oil.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so basically these are the differences between the fats. Animal fats, the bad fats would be from animal products. The
Mm-hmm.
good fats basically from plant products.
Very interesting. And that is a very thorough explanation of the differences here. Now that we've distinguished the two, next thing we are going to touch on really is some of the chronic non-infectious diseases that may arise from poor nutrition practices, poor nutrition choices of our consumers on island. Again, we know of diabetes, we know of other infections like um, ovarian syndrome in the women, fibroids. So again, yeah, let's touch on some of these and let us go through some of the main causes so the listeners understand why that they actually have those things.
Okay. I must say right now in St. Lucia we have um, problems on our hands as it relates to chronic non-communicable diseases.
Mm-hmm.
And these include diabetes, high blood pressure, cancers, heart disease, and these are all considered lifestyle diseases in that the way you live does affect your health, basically. So it is important, as we mentioned earlier on, to adopt a healthy lifestyle, and that includes eating right or eating healthy.
Mm-hmm.
The other important thing to consider is exercise and physical activity.
Mm-hmm.
And from my experience, I've realized that a lot of our patients or our people are what we call sedentary. They are not active. So, an inactivity can cause a whole host of other problems by weight gain, being obese, and all these can contribute to other illnesses as well.
Yeah.
So it is important for us to combat these conditions of diabetes, high blood pressure by the way that we eat. I must emphasize though that as a St. Lucian public, we consume too much salt, we
Mm-hmm.
consume too much sugar. As my doctor would say, we are a sweet and salty kind of nation, basically. So it is very, very important for us to adopt a healthy lifestyle by the way we eat and the physical activity and exercise that we undertake.
Very, very interesting. What was that again? We are sweet and
Salt,
salty.
yes, kind of people.
That's a nice one. And I like the fact that you really, I like the fact that you mentioned that a lot of solutions they are sedentary, because many times we have the notion that the most important aspect of being healthy is just eating the right foods. But a lot of people, they do that for one day and it stops. And even if they don't do that for one day and they don't stop, they don't exercise. So again, those listening need to understand that when you look at optimal health, being in good physical condition is not just a matter of diet. Although one would argue that diet is one of the first things I should consider. Because if you look at the argument where people exercise and they don't change their diet, it's a moot point there. So you really understand the importance of diet. So again, it's not just one being important or one being the only key to optimal health, but it's both. And as much as we eat the right foods, we make the right choices of what we eat, what we take in, we really have to supplement that and complement that with exercise as well. Very, very interesting. So, again, listeners, before I move on, remember we have a call-in show here. So, if you'd like to make a contribution, if you'd like to add to the discussion that is ongoing, the number to call us or reach us via WhatsApp is 714 5574. Again, the number to call us or reach us via WhatsApp is 714-5574. Now, we are going to get a bit more specific here. And again, when you look at the alleviation of some diseases, yes, we can speak of eating right to prevent them. But what about those who actually have a lot of those diseases? For example, diabetics, um, let us say people who have ovarian syndrome, right? What is it they call it? Premenstrual peak ovarian syndrome? Yes, polycystic, I'm sorry, polycystic ovarian syndrome. So we know the symptom of that condition, weight gain, very easily put on weight. And some people really struggle with that. And it's actually quite common in a lot of women. And again, you find some people getting diabetic, a lot of people having high blood pressure, even young. We love to think that it's only the older folk who are prone to certain conditions, but that's really not the case in this day and age. You find the younger ones actually are the ones getting a lot of these conditions, and we really have to question our belief when it pertains to that. So, when you look at someone who has a condition, for example, diabetes, high blood pressure, what are some of the choices that they can make that will have a huge impact in whether or not that condition really spirals out of control or whether they can maintain it?
Okay. On the question of management of, well, diabetes, high blood
Mm-hmm.
pressure, it is important. Let me particularly speak to diabetes. It is really, really important to have control. By
Yeah.
that I mean portion control. Specific to diabetes, carbohydrate foods, or as we say in the layman's term, the starchy foods, when it is digested and whatever the body does with it,
Mm-hmm.
it is translated to a type of sugar called glucose. So in that regard, it is very important for diabetic patients to control the amount of carbohydrate foods that they consume in a day. So the breadfruit, the dashing, it's not about a plate of breadfruit and a plate of dashing. And this is the trend that we're seeing when persons, come in and they share their diet history. Breadfruit is in season. I might as well eat a plate of breadfruit. But as a
Yeah.
diabetic, you cannot afford to do that because the breakdown of that particular the sugar in the breadfruit will raise your blood sugar. So it is important to control the portion. 3 pieces of provisions on the plate in addition to vegetables. Also, don't forget the 6 food groups that I mentioned, your peas and beans, and of course your protein type food, whether it's the fish or the chicken. So the plate has to be varied in the 6 food groupings. it's not just a plate of dashing with fish and so on. It has to be balanced.
Yeah, because I can think of sometimes some people saying X or Y is in season, and because this in season,
Mm-hmm.
I like saying in Creole, you got boy coyote.
Yes. And the other problem, if I may add, with diabetics, as it relates to the fruits,
Hmm.
in as much as yes, fruits they do have the natural sugar, this has to be controlled as well.
Really?
So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, yes, when we're in the mango season, here we have a lot of problem on our hands in that
Interesting.
diabetics come with high blood sugars
Uh-huh.
because they will not consume one mango for you. They will want to consume three and four, and that is where they will end up in trouble. So the fruits, they must be controlled as well. You must portion your fruits as well. Yes, ripe bananas, and the deeper the fruit, the riper the fruit, the sweeter they are. You have to remember that as well. So diabetic patients cannot have as many fruits as they would want. That has to be controlled.
Wow, very, very interesting.
Yes.
Again, well, that wasn't known to me, and that is important because I'm very certain that a lot of people actually do not know that. A lot of people do not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we all know that fruits are good for most people, well, for all of us,
Mm-hmm.
and especially those who have a who are diabetic, for example, they really needing to understand the fact that these fruits contain sugar as well, and we have to watch. Though it has other properties that may help us, help our bodies, we have to control the amount of these fruits we actually consume. That is extremely interesting. I hope the listeners actually latch onto that and note that, because sometimes we love to say that you don't know what's happening to you, but your pressure is high, or you're not very stressed out, but your blood pressure is high, or you seem to be eating all the right foods, but your blood pressure is still high. But people sometimes really, we have to watch what we eat even closer. And that's where the education, that's where the knowledge of what is right, not just what is right, but the portions that we eat, as you just mentioned, as you rightly mentioned, comes in. And that is where it is extremely important that we really, that we really consider our choices. And the mangoes example, a lot of people on mangoes in season like to eat a bowl of mangoes, so 5, 6, sometimes more. Eat until your belly is full, and sometimes we may even have to watch that because these mangoes have a lot of sugar in them. And yes, it may not be the same sugar that say the granulated sugar, but it's still our body still has to absorb that sugar, and we still have to use it. And there's still potential for excess. So that is very, very important, people. Very, very important. Next, we are going to look at choices that, as a consumer, we get wrongly. The majority of us. Again, a lot of us, we go to supermarkets, we go to the grocery stores, and we purchase certain foods. Yes, we all have tight budgets. We all know we constrained, but we purchase certain foods, and we had a situation where we have many brands, and you see made in, say, America, made in Thailand. You have many options. Okay, again, we import a lot of foods, and we have choice. And most consumers do not realize the power of that choice. Sometimes they do not realize just choosing to incorporate a certain food in your diet that could actually be what's causing the health problem. An allergy. Okay, so the importance of choice is needs to be highlighted. So can you please run us through some of the main mistakes that most consumers make as it pertains to shopping?
Okay, it's important as a consumer when you go shopping that you select wisely. You do wise shopping. By that I mean, okay, I know some of us, our priority would be the price
Mm-hmm.
of the product. But sometimes, yes, in as much as the price is important, we have to also look at the quality of the food that we are buying,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And we have on all food products what we call a food label. And on that food label, it provides us with a lot of information. And I know a lot of people may not find the time to go through a food label, and even so too, it can be a little tedious in
Mm-hmm.
interpreting a food label. So the important things to look for, I mean, you look at the freshness of the food,
Mm-hmm.
you look at the health aspect of the food, in that how much sugar does that food contain, how much salt, how much fat. So these are questions that you will ask yourself as a consumer. And if a product has, let's say for example, you will not see salt, but you will see the word
Sodium.
sodium.
Yeah.
And this is part of what salt is made up of. Salt, basically, the scientific name is sodium chloride.
Yeah.
So you will see sodium on that food label. Any product, particularly for hypertensive or persons with high blood pressure,
Mm-hmm.
any product that has more than 140 milligrams of sodium is considered to be high.
More than
And
140.
40 milligrams. And
Oh
that is
wow.
per serving of that
Wow.
particular food product.
Interesting.
Yes. So if that food product tells you 2 servings, it has to be doubled. All other ingredients or all other nutrients on there would
Mm-hmm.
be doubled. And if it is 3 servings, tripled, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
So in the case of sodium, you want a product that is less than 140 milligrams of sodium. In the case of sugar, you want a product that has less than 10 or less than 10 grams of sugar. Yes? And in case of, you would see cholesterol,
Mm-hmm.
you would want a product that has less than 5% of your daily value, as we say, of that particular
Mm-hmm.
product or nutrient, for example. So in shopping, these are the information that you will find on the nutrient or food product label
Mm-hmm.
to advise the consumers to what to do. And also we also have a whole set of health claims. So you would find a product that says low in fat,
Mm-hmm.
low in sugar. It may be low in fat, yes, but it's high in sugar. Or it may be high in fat or low in sugar, or
Yeah.
vice versa,
Yep.
basically. So we have to be very careful, and these manufacturing tactics, marketing
Marketing. Oh yeah,
tactics,
they're good.
sugar free
Very
and
good.
fat
Yeah.
free and sodium free and zero trans fat. So we have to be very, very careful when we go shopping and we see all these claims.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is very interesting because if I may add on, sometimes even the health foods that people claim are healthy, when you look at the back of the labels, they're actually very sweet.
Very
It has
sweet.
always mystified me also. Why is that? Why can well, why can something be made that is very well, according to the
Natural.
label, that is
Natural.
natural, has many nutrients in there, and it doesn't contain so much sugar in it. Like when you look at some bars having 20, 30 grams of sugar, that's a lot of sugar.
It's a lot of sugar. If you
That
have
is,
to translate that into teaspoons, it will be like 13, 14,
yeah.
15 teaspoons of sugar. Yes.
And we consumers really have to be mindful of these things. We have to be mindful because a lot of the products that we use, they're imported. Face it, I mean, 95% of what's on the shelf is imported. And you have to understand these companies that make these products, they have huge marketing budgets. Because trust me, you think that they cannot get you, you think that they cannot convince you to buy a product just by the way that it looks, you're wrong. They can. They can. And we have to be a bit more informed and as to the decisions, the buying decisions that we actually make. Let's look a little more closely. You're not saying that all products are bad. We're not saying that at all. But you have to look a little more closely so that you are aware as to what is good, what is not so good. Okay? Very, very interesting here. And again, you speaking of you giving daily requirements, the requirements for sodium content, sugar, and cholesterol, the listeners should really pay heed to that. And one question that came to mind is really the question of buying things in bulk. Um, find a lot of parents they find it easier to buy some things in bulk. For example, the box juice, because it's cheaper. And sometimes, yes, we may find products that are sugar wise, you're okay. But sometimes a lot of what's cheaper is very unhealthy. And people may use money as an excuse. I mean, yes, people complain things are hard. In a sense, yes, things are hard. But people use money as an excuse sometimes. Sometimes it's not that people don't have the money, but they do not prioritize the health in a financial sense yet. So again, it's very interesting because sometimes, yes, we know what's right, right? Sometimes we love to say, well, we love to tell people what is right. People know what's right, but sometimes they're just not willing to spend enough on the health. Now back to the question of in bulk. Sometimes a lot of parents they buy things in bulk for their children, and whether it's the canned juice that has 45 grams of sugar in it, or the boxes and the juices are very sweet. Even some of the fruiters. Can you speak to that and really tell the listeners why it's better sometimes to forego these products and make your own?
Oh, yes. It is so important for us to keep it basic, keep it simple. And yes, a lot of parents, they spend excessive amount of money buying the box juices that are very high in sugar. And you wonder why our kids are so hyperactive. They're
That's right.
very active. And you would find that teachers are making mention of that as
Yeah.
well. It is so much healthier to use our local products. So, in the case of juices for children, anything that can make juice, you can give to your child.
Hmm.
For example, limes, oranges, whatever fruits that are in season can be made into juices for our children. And there we can control the amount of sugar that we add to those juices. But when they're already boxed with 45 grams and 35 grams of sugar, there's nothing that we can do. And in addition to that, these products are loaded with preservatives
That's right.
because
That's
you
right.
need, the manufacturer needs to put a preservative to keep the shelf life.
Yeah.
So it is so much healthier to take an orange and squeeze and put it in a bottle and give to your child to go to school. But the problem I've been seeing or hearing or even experiencing
Mm-hmm.
firsthand with my son, that when they would go to school with their bottle of juice, their local juice, they feel intimidated by the other students with the box juice. So they feel the box juice is better and healthier and superior.
Mm.
But I mean, this is misinformation, you know. So the children, they feel pressured into, you know, buying the box juices or the chubbies and the soft drinks, if I may mention, the soft drinks with a lot of sugar, particular the Coca-Colas. They are loaded with sugars and
Mm.
preservatives. And some persons would tell you, oh, the Coke is not so sweet, or the Sprite, because they have masked that product with a lot of acid. So you will not take the sweet taste. A Coke has as much as 13 teaspoons of sugar.
Wow. Say that again.
52 grams, that translates to
One Coke.
13,
Wow.
yes, one Coca-Cola. I have made
Wow.
the calculations
Okay.
personally.
Wow.
Yes. So parents out there, if you're listening, it is healthier for you to feed your children with local juices. Take the whatever that is in season. The golden apple, golden apples can be blended. The guavas can be blended. And do you know that one guava gives you enough, a medium-sized guava can give you enough vitamin C for a day, as compared to an apple or the grapes or the
Wow.
other foreign fruits.
Yeah.
Yes. So it is so much healthier to use the local fruits and vegetables and foods on the whole that we have. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Um, quite a bit to latch onto there. Again, people, especially in the south of the island, especially in the south of the island, We love to complain, say that things are hard, but most of the trees, when you look, the fruits are falling. And I believe the problem is that, yes, we know that in first world countries, especially, um, governments, private organizations, they really market their products well. They market their fruits, they market what is in there. And I believe partly that one of the problems is that people still do not know that a lot of our fruits, they do not know the nutritional value of these fruits, especially the guava and the cherries as well. People do not know how good that these are. If people knew, and like they really knew and they were taught that, you would not find guavas around. You would not find guavas, you would not find cherries around. Again, you saying that guavas or medium-sized guava has more than about enough of the daily required vitamin C. People may hear that, but I'll pass with the other ear, right? And that has to be emphasized. In that we buy all those juices claims to have 100% vitamin C. Again, juice is an example. There are other things that people buy, but the only reason that we buy it is because it has 100% vitamin C, and everything else supposedly in those things is bad. And we not realize that just by buying a little, just by having a guava, sometimes you can even get for free. That we can actually get as much vitamin C as are in those juices. And yes, you can get it from both sources, but you need to also think of the bad things that are in those drinks. Again, a lot of these drinks are carbonated, the acids, and even drinks like malt. I checked, I think malt has like 30, how many grams of sugar? 40, 45 grams of sugar. That surprised me. I didn't realize it was that sweet actually. It's carbonated, so you don't really taste it. But it is actually very sweet. And so again, people, we have to be looking. We have to be looking. We have to be checking to see whether the products are good, not just on the face of the label. Because let's put it this way. Yes, we know some companies are bigger than others, but anybody can design a nice label. You can have a product design a nice label and make people buy it too. But what really is in there? The labels are there for a reason. So we have to, the onus is on us to really make sure that we are aware of what goes, what are in those products, and what is really going into our bodies. What is really going into our bodies. Now, next, we are going to move on to one particular food item, and that is a sweet potato. Um, Very interesting, and I'd like you to speak, and you are going to know why we're highlighting the sweet potato in a bit. I'd like you to speak on. I'd like you to speak on the importance of the sweet potato and how good it actually is. Mr. Marat, would you like to comment on this one?
Right. Good evening, listeners. Uh, I'm happy to be here. Um, I have been impressed with Mrs. Campbell's presentation so far, and and I am hoping that each person would WhatsApp somebody and ask them to tune in because we have a very nice program on the radio this
Yep.
evening. And if you cannot WhatsApp, or you can BB your friends so your friend can tune in and listen to us. The sweet potato, the sweet potato is a traditional crop in St. Lucia, but recently, recently it has been highlighted as one of the major crops to help eradicate poverty in the third world countries.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So again, yes, it has been highlighted as first, one of the main crops to really grow in many other food countries, especially because we are aware of nutritively, many people don't seem to be getting enough. Okay, people really, whether it's finance, whether it's lack of awareness, whether it's poor dietary choices, the standard really of proper nutrition, generally, especially among our youth, is very poor. And again, our interest here really is to really learn as to what's going on currently, because Mr. Marad is about to tell us about a very important initiative that is undergoing,
by Atlas, but it shouldn't take. Yes,
and he's about to tell us really what impact that such an initiative can have for us. Again,
okay.
before he comments, this initiative is undertaken by
Atlas,
Atlas, which is a community organization
Richard.
in Swazel, which really looks to carry out projects for the betterment of the community, for the betterment of the island at large. And if I may delve into his piece a bit, Atlas is working on a project entitled Building the Evidence Base on the Agricultural Nutrition Nexus. And again, you're looking at a rapid country scan for informing policy and practice. In other words, people, to put it simply, we really, Atlas are really trying to find out information on the purple sweet potato on island. Again, it has been discovered to be very useful, and we are really trying to come up with data that is really representative of its use on island, and really get policies, get recommendations from the various agricultural stakeholders on island to really sensitize the way forward, and not just on the purple sweet potato, but what can be done. And Mr. Marriott is actually one of those working with our organization and really spearheading this all. So, Mr. Marriott, can you elaborate a bit more?
Okay, the, the group Atlas is a group of young people from Choiseul. Um, One of the good things about this is that the young people came together and they have exhibited a determination to work to help the community. And because of their involvement in activities, they have been identified as suitable. Atlas has been identified as suitable by an international organization to undertake a very important project.
Mm-hmm.
I am working in the capacity to provide support for Atlas, working side by side with the Atlas members, um, so that we can produce a report that is worthy of commendation even from CTA. The, the report, the assignment actually is to conduct a rapid country scan to examine policies and programs that are undertaken by government that are designed to help reduce poverty and malnutrition in St. Lucia.
Mm-hmm.
Poverty and malnutrition are poverty and malnutrition are key agenda items on the international world policy these days.
Mm-hmm.
United Nations has declared the Millennium Goals to be achieved by 2015. We are already in 2015.
Yeah.
The goals were declared in 2000, and by 2015, we had targets to meet. So this time around, the United Nations, with all its affiliates, are trying to determine the extent to which countries have met their targets from the Millennium Declaration. At the moment, we are examining the programs and policies
Mm-hmm.
of government that are designed to help eradicate poverty and malnutrition. To determine the strategies and the policies, we had to examine government records government policies. We had to interview people involved in policy formulation, people involved in sponsoring programs get towards reducing poverty and malnutrition. Uh, we also had to be involved in the Ministry of Health.
Yeah.
That is where our close relationship developed with the nutritionist or the nutrition division.
Yeah.
One of the key aspects of this rapid scan
Mm-hmm.
is to highlight or identify malnutrition, the extent of malnutrition in women and children in St. Lucia. As you know, in the last population census of 2010, St. Lucia's population revealed that the census revealed that St. Lucia's population was about 50.2% female.
Oh,
That means if the women are taken care of, then we have about half of the population already taken care of. So the population is going to be able to be functioning well, and the population is going to be productive.
mm-hmm.
That is why in the survey, we are trying to identify to what extent are women programs, to what extent our programs get towards women specifically,
Mm-hmm.
so that they can take the women out of poverty. Again, another aspect is when the women are healthy,
Mm-hmm.
you will know that their children are healthy,
Yeah.
because they would pass on the knowledge and the understanding of nutrition and all the other things onto their families.
Yeah.
The United Nations, the FAO declares that in one of the writing by FAO was saying, if women have money, you know that the money is going to be used for the family, for health, for education, and for all to take care of the elderly and all the other things women do. So the emphasis on women is to ensure that the countries cover a wide area of nutrition, or a wide area of social areas of advancement.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Another aspect of the survey involved women's group.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, again, emphasizing the fact that we have to involve women in the production. For this country, for our country to go forward, women, you must remember that women make up about 50.2% of the population.
It's quite a large number.
Traditionally, men would be the ones involved in all the work, the agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So we're looking to see, now that the agriculture has collapsed, or let's say the banana industry has collapsed,
Mm-hmm.
and climate change is affecting production of crops.
Mm-hmm.
Women's contribution in the food and nutrition nexus has shifted. The trend these days is for agro-processing.
Yeah, that's true.
The European Union, the EU contribution, EU's contribution to the agriculture transformation program, one of the main objectives is to help women, help transform agriculture into an agro-processing base. Okay? And this is where the women come in. They are very competent when it comes to agro-processing. And one of the ways you can gauge probably their potential is to what extent they work together in groups. And then, as you said earlier, the next aspect of the research, or the
Mm-hmm.
next major component of our research, is the purple sweet potato.
Mm-hmm.
And we are looking to see how the purple sweet potato can be used to help improve the state of nutrition and poverty in St. Lucia. Now you see, we normally talk about poverty and nutrition. They are not the same. But
Very true.
what all literature will tell you is, if you are poor, you are likely to be malnourished. And if you are malnourished,
High
you are
chance.
likely to be poor. And if you are poor, you are the one who are likely, who may not be able to go to see the doctor, who may not be able to go to school. You are the one not likely to have the septic tank. You are the one not likely to have the pipe water at your home. You are the one not
Sure.
likely. And you see, if you are poor, then you have the environment around you not being conducive for healthy living.
Yeah.
And chances are, if you are malnourished, you may also be poor. And if you are poor, you would also be malnourished.
Very interesting. And we have a message coming in actually. Um, Very insightful, informative show. Thank you for educating the young people. I agree with more emphasis on women in the country because many are mothering and fathering. Let me read this over. Okay. I agree with more emphasis on women in the country because many are mothering and fathering our upcoming youth and future generations. If anything needs to change, I agree women should be the main focus in the start of alleviating any social problems or issues in St. Lucia. Again, we have a message. Thanks so much, and we appreciate all input. Yeah,
Thank you so much for your message. Keep sending the message. We would be happy to have all your messages.
yeah.
But
And go on.
the report, the research, so what I did there was to give an overview of an outlay of
Mm-hmm.
the research.
Yeah.
Um, the research conducted by Atlas,
Mm-hmm.
um, in the end we have to present a paper and submit it to Technical Center for Agricultural and Rural Cooperation,
Yeah,
better
that's
known
it.
as CTA.
CTA.
Uh, CTA is based in Holland, um, and all correspondences and all connections we have in conducting the research is with those people in Holland. Next week, Atlas will be taking the research to Barbados to be presented uh, in a conference
Yeah.
in Barbados, and our research is going to be evaluated. And like all other research papers, CTA will have it on its website. We are hoping it is going to meet the minimum standard or the best standard,
Mm-hmm.
that it would be on the website of CTA and would be an international document. Um, One of the points we missed at the beginning is that Atlas activity that identified them to to be commissioned for
Mm-hmm.
that research was actually a presentation they made in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping the young people of Choiseul, or wherever you are,
Mm-hmm.
will understand that it pays to be in groups, to form groups,
Mm-hmm.
to
And
have a common purpose.
And to be more specific, Atlas actually participated in Caribbean Food and Agriculture Film and Video Competition. So they had to submit a short clip really depicting the importance of a actual local food The theme was actually adding value to local foods. And Atlas selected the purple sweet potato, and knowingly, it's actually very, very nutritious. And I will actually speak on what really makes the purple sweet potato so special in a bit. But really, it was through this competition and the fact that our group already did so much research and we had so much knowledge on the purple sweet potato, who were actually given the task of actually
Produce.
conducting your
Good.
research.
So I would like to encourage the young people to try to join a group, to form groups. You are, you are not, you cannot make believe that you are
Yeah,
not good enough to
true.
compete. And I'm happy that Atlas is competing on the world stage, or is showing its worth on the world stage in
Hmm.
those little ways that it can.
So,
And I I'd like to congratulate all the members of Atlas,
mhm.
and I know that some of them are very pressed for time, but I'd encourage them, please do find time to take part in the Atlas activities. Do find time to always make sure that you all are always visible and you all are always moving step one step at a time, but you all are moving forward all the time. Uh,
Now, one of the final questions I'm going to ask, and I'm sure listeners are actually asking, is actually on his purposely potato.
sure.
Um, what makes it so special?
Okay, the purple sweet potato. Um, I must start by saying that in our research so far, one of the things we were supposed to do was to identify the source, the genetic material,
Hmm.
where it came from. So far, we have not been able to identify where the genetic material comes from. If anybody listening knows where it comes from, you can give us a call or you can give us a WhatsApp.
Hmm.
We would be happy to know where it comes from. But every farmer who has it, we have gone to the farmers and they have said they receive a few slips from another person and the other person does not know where it came from. Somebody would say, well, I bought some potato by the market. I saw it had a purple in it. I slice it and
Try.
I make the slice and I grow the slice so I have it in my backyard. The next thing we have is we have a lot of people growing the sweet potato in the backyard, so they can only harvest 5 pounds, 6 pounds, 7 pounds just to eat. And so far we have only identified 2 farmers who had plots of about a quarter acre size.
Yeah.
2 farmers. We went through we went through Choiseul. We were able to identify 5 farmers with purple sweet potato who have the capacity to sell. And all the other people who have it, they tell you, well, it's just they just have one plot and they're just
Yeah.
watching to see
Found
how
a
it is
lot.
growing.
Hmm.
Okay, the sweet potato. From our literature, our reading, we notice a lot of the literature identified it as having, or the people in Southeast Asia using it a lot. People, China, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, China, they use a lot of purple sweet potato. And a lot of the literature we have read talked about the Japanese and how committed they are to developing the sweet potato because they have noticed it is very rich in nutrients, vitamin A and minerals. Vitamin A, you know, is very important for vision.
Yeah.
It's also important for other very important functions in the body. Um, a lot of the research gone into the purple sweet potato, and they have identified the purple sweet potato as having properties. One of the, it's high in one of the antioxidant chemicals called anthocyanin. The anthocyanin is high, and because of the high amount of the anthocyanin in the purple sweet potato, the purple sweet potato is seen to is or has been proven. It has been proven in rats. Um, many research done with the purple sweet potato and rats have shown that the purple sweet potato has good health benefits. Um, like it is good, it retards colon cancer.
Mhm.
It also, it has anti-inflammatory properties. That is, it prevents inflammation.
Yes.
It protects the liver against oxidative stress. It helps reduce memory loss. So if you're beginning to lose your memory, you can begin to eat some purple sweet potato. It helps lower blood pressure, and it also helps reduce obesity. Earlier, the, the nutritionist talked about the sugar you eat if you have diabetes. Uh, the purple sweet potato, it is a very good antioxidant. Antioxidant means that the, the substance retards or reduces the rate at which something is burned inside the body. The foods you eat must be burned to be consumed, must be oxidized. When you have an antioxidant, you only burn or use a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
So even if you eat a lot of purple sweet potato and you have diabetes, if it fools you up,
Mhm.
because of the antioxidant property, it does not all burn out. The whole sugar doesn't come into your bloodstream at one time. It only gives a little bit as the body needs it, what you call slow release. Like when we have fertilizer, which is slow release, you can expect it to last a little bit longer. The benefit of it lasts longer. So the purple sweet potato, because of its antioxidant property of the
Yeah.
anthocyanin in
Mhm.
the purple sweet potato, it is able to help slow down diabetes, reduce obesity, help also reduce the blood pressure, and
Mhm.
also reduce the stress, the oxidative stress on the liver, because you
Very
know the
true.
liver is the site of all food combustion.
Yeah.
That's where the food is, the energy
Mhm.
is released from the food. Most of the activity leading to the release of energy occurs in the liver.
Yeah.
Okay, and if the purple sweet potato can be used, you will notice, listeners, if the purple sweet potato can be used in a community where you have a lot of poor people or malnutrition, you notice that it can help reduce the malnutrition. The other thing about the purple sweet potato is that it can be grown as a crop,
Yeah.
and you can make some money out of it. So it helps you make money, and at the same time, it gives you a lot of health benefits. That is why the target on purple sweet potato these days is attracting global attention in developing countries. That doesn't mean that the other sweet potato, the sweet potato we know from generation isn't
Uh-huh.
healthy. It is equally healthy, but the purple one has just come up, and it needs this special attention for people to understand it. By now, everybody is used to eating the sweet potato. I watch the radio many times. I watch, the TV many times, and I see they celebrate many 100-year-old people. And one of the first things they tell you they used to eat that kept them growing to 100 years was potato. So these people have consumed or have eaten potato,
Mhm.
and they have actually lived to tell the benefits of potato. But the purple one is relatively new, and the emphasis on the purple sweet potato so that we can begin to see how we can help to curb malnutrition. Because malnutrition and poverty come hand in hand, and malnutrition and poverty can both prevent somebody from being productive. And if you have a high malnutrition rate, in the last poverty assessment done in 2006, 2007,
Mm-hmm.
the poverty rate in St. Lucia was 28.8%.
It's quite high.
That's quite high.
Mm-hmm.
And whilst recently we had the mixed survey, multiple indicator cluster surveys, um, recently it was released. Whilst that survey did indicate generally St. Lucia's children are faring well, the, the survey just before that said at least 33% of the poverty in St. Lucia is among children,
Wow.
children between 0 and 14 years old.
Very
It is quite
insightful.
high.
Yeah.
And as you know, poverty can prevent the development of the full potential of the children.
Yeah.
So we
Very.
can begin to brace for a crisis where people are not able to fully contribute to the development of their country. And we are looking at this against the background where these days we have very severe decline in the banana contribution to the GDP,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
um, and we have high unemployment.
Employment.
The 2012 unemployment was 20.6, and according to the population, housing and population the census we had
Mm-hmm.
2010. So it is timely that we are these days talking about the purple sweet potato. Timely that Atlas is involved in it, and we are also talking about food and nutrition security, and we are also trying to see how the government, some of the policies in place to help eradicate poverty, malnutrition, and the other ills that come with them.
Thank you, thank you so much. And that was very interesting, people. Again, Mr. Marat here, not just outlining what Atlas, brilliant research that Atlas is doing, but really making a case for the consumer or the average citizen, us all, as to why sweet potato, especially the purple one, is important. The benefit that it can have for us, and the benefit that it has actually had elsewhere, and why they are actually promoting it. And again, interesting, he mentions about um, people not really gaining the nutrients that they need, and really, especially the children, how much, how high the poverty rate actually are. Again, the, if the children are not fed well, they will perform poorly, they will not grow up very well, they will be disadvantaged in school, and they may be at a major disadvantage as it pertains to their progression in life. Okay, so that is very, very important. Again, listeners, you have learned us about the research that Atlas is conducting. Again, it's multifaceted, it has many different purposes, and really, it's important that people we develop that awareness as to the sweet potato and why it's actually important for us, and actually not hesitate to buy it, especially the purple one. Those who are growing it, those who have only one bench or two benches, grow it some more. It's actually very, very useful, and from my knowledge, the prices are actually pretty good for them. All right,
Yeah,
and
they fetch the same price.
yes, they're similar, but I'm sure when people know how valuable it is
They might.
may fluctuate a bit. But again, it is just as viable as all of the other variations of
So,
potato.
so far, we have not noticed um, much use of the purple sweet
Uh huh.
potato. As you know, the purple sweet potato can be used for a lot of other things. Can be used in potato chips. It could be used in juice. It could be used in. It's quite a versatile fruit. You can crush it,
Mhm.
grate it, and make cake out of it, flour out
Yeah.
of it.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
we are aware that the rainforest people in Supre are using it to make flour.
Yeah.
Not the purple, they're using the other one, the normal sweet potato to make flour. Um, so far, we have not noticed people using the purple. Um, we, in our little survey so far, in our country scan so
Mhm.
far, we have not noticed any roadside vendor. We have not noticed any of the women's group that we surveyed, we interviewed using it.
Mhm.
We have not noticed it being used at all. What we discovered, or what the survey revealed to us, was that a lot of people are prepared to try it at their home. When we asked them, in fact, the survey done by the nutritionist, um, so the people, a lot of the people, 70 something percent of the people have used the purple sweet potato at home. They are
Mhm.
using it at home. They are prepared to try a little coloring, a little something at it, but nobody wants to try it in public yet. Okay? When we asked the people why they're not using the purple sweet potato, they said it's risky business, especially the agro processors. It's risky because the population is not yet well has not yet
Oriented.
well accepted it.
Mhm.
So they are watching, and they're hoping programs like this, and if Atlas and the nutritionists can continue to work together, they can begin to feel more comfortable. I'm hoping
Yeah.
they will begin to feel more comfortable, and we might see a more welcoming of the purple sweet potato in more public places.
Okay. Wow, listeners, that was a lot. Um, I'm sure you learned a lot. I did. I did. And I would like to thank my two guests, Miss Faddia Campbell, nutritionist, and also Mr. Randolph Marieatte, for appearing on You from the Rise. Um, you have really spoken on a lot of valuable information, a lot of valuable knowledge, and really also Mr. Marad on sensitizing us as to the research that Atlas is doing and why the sweet potato and the purple one specifically is very important. And those listening, whether you are a parent, you're a child, whether you're a business person, whether you're a hotelier, the purple sweet potato has potential, and we need to use it as well. It has tremendous benefit. Okay, it has not only benefited us, and again, still that has to be decided, but it has worked in many places around the world. And equally as important, listeners, it's important that we have that knowledge as to our nutrition, the choices that we make, the health practices that we engage in, um, examine products, and also just the choice that we make for our lifestyles. So I'd like to thank the two of you once more and really, really appreciate you coming on. And the listeners also, a lot of knowledge has been bestowed upon you.
I would, I would like to invite the listeners. I was very impressed with my nutritionist. I would like to invite,
Oh yeah.
while she was giving the information, I was thinking there are so many people who really need the advice of the nutritionist who do not go to the health centers. Um, if they could ask their children to WhatsApp Live 95 FM and ask that the nutritionist return, it would be a very good thing. So at least those people can stay home and they can learn since they are unable to go to the health centers, so they can at least stay home. So please mount up a campaign and ask WhatsApp the station and ask the nutritionist to come back, and we'll bring her back as soon as you all have mounted
And
your request. Thank
any
you much.
requests can actually be emailed to the show directly. Again, the email for the show, people, youthontherise@hotmail.com. If you like to reach us for any particular thing, if you have a request, if you like Mrs. Campbell or anybody else to come on, please do not hesitate to let us know. So, my two guests, I'd like to thank you so much. And listeners, that is actually the end of our show tonight. You have listened to a lot of information. We have been speaking on nutrition today, food security, and the happenings of late. And really, I encourage you to be a part of things that are bigger than you. We all like to complain of our problems and they affect us and really not do anything about it. But we need to really give more effort to solving our problems, not just on an individual level with the choices that we make and our knowledge, but also on a collective basis by tackling the major issues around. And that's why I'm very thankful for the two guests coming on. Also for Atlas, really, with their research, because it has the potential to really spark a lot of change. Of course, when more people really get on board with the awareness, more products, you'd find probably more people trying it out, as Mr. Marriott said. So really and truly, that has been a big plus. Okay, listeners, you've just listened to another episode of Youth on the Rise. Again, I am your host, Craige Hardel. We've gone a few minutes over time today, but I'll show that my listeners will agree that it was worth it. Um, I'd like to thank you for listening, listeners. I wish everybody a good evening and goodbye.